You're bleeding internally and no one can see it. Every single day you're making decisions based on a wound that never healed, the terror of being rejected. And it's destroying you in ways you don't even realize. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're actually suffocating the very person you're trying to save. The silent damage of rejection fear isn't just in your head. It's in your body, your relationships, your career, your dreams, your entire existence. This fear is a silent killer. It operates in the shadows, making you smaller without you noticing. It whispers lies about your worth while you're busy trying to prove you deserve love. If this feels like I'm reading your mind, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what you struggle to say no to the most. I read every single comment, and your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Listen to me carefully. That fear of rejection isn't just making you avoid opportunities. It's rewiring your entire nervous system to see danger where there is none. Your brain is stuck in survival mode, scanning every face for signs of disapproval, every silence for hints of abandonment. When you were a child, rejection meant abandonment. Abandonment meant death, so your nervous system learned to treat every no as a life or death situation, every criticism as a threat to your survival. Every moment of disapproval is evidence that you're too much, too needy, too human. But here's what's happening now. You're not a child anymore, yet you're still operating from that same primal terror. You're saying yes when you mean no. You're shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. You're apologizing for existing, for taking up space, for having needs. The silent damage is everywhere. It's in the way you hold your breath when someone doesn't text back immediately. It's in the way you scan their face for micro-expressions of annoyance. It's in the way you rehearse conversations in your head, trying to find the perfect words that won't upset anyone. Alfred Adler understood this. He called it the inferiority complex. But it's not really about feeling inferior. It's about feeling unsafe in your own skin. Every time you dim your light to avoid triggering someone's discomfort, you're telling your soul that it's too much, too intense, too real for this world. The rejection you're so afraid of, it already happened. You rejected yourself first. You've been doing it daily, hourly, in tiny moments of self-betrayal. You've been walking around with a knife in your chest, twisting it every time you choose their comfort over your truth. Every time you laugh at jokes that aren't funny. Every time you agree with opinions that make your skin crawl. Every time you pretend to be smaller so they won't leave. But they're leaving anyway. Because the person you're pretending to be isn't real, and deep down everyone can sense it. Authentic connection requires authentic presence. You can't love someone through a mask, and you can't be loved while wearing one. The silent damage compounds daily. Your nervous system stays in constant alert, scanning for threats that don't exist. Your body holds tension you can't name. Your soul grows tired from performing, from calculating, from being anyone but yourself. You've forgotten what it feels like to breathe freely, to speak without measuring every word, to exist without apologizing for taking up space. The fear has become your invisible prison, and you've grown so used to the bars that you've forgotten what freedom feels like. This is the silent damage. It doesn't announce itself with dramatic moments. It kills you slowly, one compromised conversation at a time, one swallowed truth at a time, one dimmed light at a time. John Bowlby's attachment theory shows us that our earliest relationships create templates for how we connect with others. If you learned that love was conditional, that affection had to be earned through performance, then of course you're terrified of being yourself. Of course you're constantly calculating, constantly performing, constantly exhausted. You learn to read rooms before you learn to read books. You learn to manage other people's emotions before you learn to honor your own. You learn to be useful before you learn to be yourself. Here's the truth no one wants to tell you. The people who would reject you for being authentic are not your people. They never were. You're not losing love. You're losing the illusion of love. You're losing relationships that were built on pretense, on performance, on the lie that you have to be someone else to be worthy of connection. The pain of rejection is temporary. The pain of living as a ghost of yourself is permanent. The silent damage of fear is killing you slowly, one compromised moment at a time. Every time you bite your tongue when you should speak up, you're choosing fear over freedom. Every time you mold yourself to fit their expectations, you're choosing their comfort over your integrity. Every time you dim your light to avoid their discomfort, you're choosing their limitations over your potential. The silent damage spreads like poison through your veins. It affects your sleep, your dreams, your ability to trust yourself. It makes you second-guess every instinct, every desire, every authentic impulse. You become a stranger to yourself, and the tragedy is that you don't even remember what you were like before the fear took over. Before you learned to scan faces for disapproval. Before you learned to make yourself smaller to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. Nathaniel Branden taught us that self-esteem isn't about thinking you're perfect. It's about knowing you're worthy of love and belonging exactly as you are. Not as you might become, not as you should be, as you are, right now, with all your flaws and fears and beautiful imperfections. You don't need anyone's permission to take up space. You don't need anyone's approval to speak your truth. You don't need anyone's validation to know your worth. The silent damage stops when you stop giving others the power to determine your value. The rejection you're so afraid of. It's not about you. It's about their capacity to hold space for authenticity. It's about their comfort with realness. It's about their relationship with themselves. Their rejection is their limitation, not your failure. When you stop trying to be chosen and start choosing yourself, something miraculous happens. You become magnetic. Not because you're perfect, but because you're real. Real attracts real. Authenticity calls to authenticity across the noise of pretense. Carl Rogers understood this. He called it unconditional positive regard. But before you can receive it from others, you have to give it to yourself. You have to look at all the parts of you that you've been hiding and say, you belong here too. Your sensitivity isn't a weakness. It's a superpower in a world that's forgotten how to feel. Your intensity isn't too much. It's exactly what this shallow world needs. Your depth isn't scary. It's sacred in a culture of surface-level connections. The silent damage ends when you stop apologizing for being human, when you stop shrinking to fit into relationships that require you to be less than you are, when you stop choosing the comfort of others over the integrity of your own soul. But ending the silent damage isn't just about stopping negative behaviors. It's about reclaiming your voice, your space, your right to exist fully. It's about remembering that you were born worthy, not born to prove your worth. The healing begins when you realize that rejection isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. Living as a ghost of yourself is. Dying with your song still inside you is. Spending your entire life wondering, what if I had just been brave enough to be real? The people who are meant to be in your life won't make you feel like you need to earn their love. They won't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. They'll see you fully and love you completely, not despite your authenticity, but because of it. The rejection you're avoiding isn't the worst thing that could happen to you. The worst thing is spending your entire life as a stranger to yourself, wondering what would have happened if you had just been brave enough to be real. You don't need to be chosen to be worthy. You don't need to be approved of to be valuable. You don't need to be accepted by everyone to belong in this world. The silent damage stops when you understand this truth. You already belong. You always have. The only permission you need is the permission you give yourself to finally, fully, fearlessly be who you are. To stop the silent damage. To heal the wound. To choose yourself, daily, fiercely, without apology.